This is Trail
Yeah.
Talk Live. We're back for another week. It's Tuesday morning for me. It's Monday morning for him. I guess I should say that I'm Aaron Shimmons.
And I'm Ricky Wynn.
There he is. If you can't stick around, the links are in the bio for Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all of the usual places. But we hope you can stick around, ask us some questions. What have we got to get into? Let me close WhatsApp. See, the last time I was on WhatsApp, someone called me during the podcast, and it doesn't do not disturb on the laptop, and the laptop's below my screen here. So what have we got to talk about? Well, we got to thank sponsors, right? Tantrums, GOREWEAR, XMiles, done. Link in the bio or in the description. Announcements. Oh, I've had some DMs, mate. Where's this Swiss Canyon Trails? What's the crack? How do I go? If you want to know about Swiss Canyon Trail, which is a Trail Talk meetup next year, jump into WhatsApp, join the Run Europe group. That's where the chat is about that. There's 30k, there's 30k, there's 50k, 80k,
80K.
100k. We're rounding the numbers there. They're obviously not those 100k. I think the 100's 110. The premier event, and that is what quite a lot of people are doing. So yeah, jump into WhatsApp, ask what's happening, and the community will let you know. Ricky, we'll get into all the usual stuff. What happened to Scone? What for anyone that's listening, Ricky has like a 3-4 inch cut on his head. It's like someone has whacked you between the eyes with an axe.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it looks worse than it is. And it looks bad, but it looks worse than it is.
That's
As in, it's
because you're a
not like,
pint half full guy. There'd be
yeah.
other fellas that'd be sitting at home getting dinner served to them on a tray with a big bandage over their head.
None of that here, mate. None of that here. No way. No way. Trina's well used to me cutting myself and battering myself and been in a bad bit of shape, so she didn't pass a bit of heat in me. As long as she said, as long as your head's okay inside, you'll be all right, you know. But
Is
what
it?
happened was, I think so, yeah, yeah. Oh, look, it's not even sore, like it's not sore. I was at work this morning. It was pissing rain. I was standing on top of a deck trying to drill screws down into metal, and I was doing this hundreds of times, you know, hundreds of holes to be drilled, like it's a big deck, and just drilling. The drill bit slipped. I slipped. There's a 2 meter drop. I've got to grab something, otherwise I'm going to fall. And then I grabbed something, but my head hit off something else. I'm not quite sure what it hit off. I don't think it hit off one of the bits of steel that I was trying to drill to, but I think it hit off, like, there was like a plastic kind of a box up high. I think I just caught the corner of it and went down the way. Look, if it was on my arm, I think it'd just be a graze. Just because it's on my head, it looks a lot worse, you know. So, look, honestly, I am like Wolverine. I'm telling you, man. 3 days time, this will be gone. It'll be gone. Hey, no messing.
Well, it's immortalized now because you are on the podcast, also live on Instagram, and the gash is there, so you'll be able to refer back to this at any point, and we will have to compare this to next week's show to see
Yeah, yeah.
how much has it disappeared.
Yeah, yeah, and look, and as you can see, there's no makeup on or anything like that. We don't do anything at Trail Talk. It's all for everyone to see. You know, it's straight up transparency is what we're all about.
Oh no, I'd be sticking a like a makeup on you before I upload this to Spotify and YouTube. Sort you out. Um, Today's show, we're going to talk about training as we always do and how that is going. And what I like to, I'm going to kick it over to you, but you know what I noticed about your runs this week?
Hmm.
They're all really short. Like they're all around an hour, but you're changing the distance just by running a bit faster. So one
Yeah,
day
yeah,
Ricky's only getting 12 and the other day he's getting 16. I know those numbers aren't accurate, but you get the idea.
yeah.
What's the training been like this past week?
Uh, in fairness, we'd say Monday to Friday. Again, I've done another big week of work as well, right? So I'm very conscious of that as well in my training. So I've ran every day this week. I've also worked, or sorry, every day last week. And I also worked every day last week, as in 7 days again, because I'm playing catch up, right? Christmas is coming. Um, So I'm very mindful of not doing too much, but just doing enough and trying to enjoy my runs as well. And I also said in the last show that I want to make sure that I run every day up until Christmas. I don't want any days off. So that means I'm not going to be running huge distances Monday to Friday. So an hour is lots, right? If I get 12 or 13 or maybe 14K in that hour, I'm happy enough. I'm mixing up the paces as in yesterday I ran a bit further, right? And Saturday I ran a bit further. So slightly longer runs. I think Saturday was just shy of 20K. And then Sunday was, I think, just shy of 17K. But they were both kind of like tempo runs, right? Because every other run during the week was an easy run because I was just building back up. But the way I feel now is like, I feel like I did enough slow running. And then I says, right, I'll pick the pace up at the weekend, see how that feels. Because I was feeling really, really tight early in the week. So I was very sort of like aware that I needed to keep running slow. And then what I was doing, you'll be proud of me, what I was doing was after every single run, I was doing my pre-run, I was doing my leg swings, right? That I said I was going to do, so I kept them up. But after the runs, what I'm doing is a lot of like walking lunges, farmers walks, just stuff like that, just trying to stretch out the hip flexor, stretch out the glutes, stretch out the hamstrings, stretching out all those things. And day by day, I've been getting looser and sort of like feeling a little bit better. And then the paces are just naturally just getting quicker. So couple of weeks ago, I'm not messing with you. I was like, man, I feel like crap. I don't know what's wrong with me. But like that was it. I was just tight and just getting
Yeah.
tighter and tighter all the time. So now I feel like I'm loosening out, I'm freeing out. And the runs are becoming more enjoyable, more free, as in I'm not as sore, man. I was finishing some runs last week or and then the week before a little bit beat up, like as if, man, why am I this sore after these runs? Whereas now it's like I'm back to normal, you know?
Yeah. Voodoo in the chat says it my Achilles looks worse in your head, which is true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm very, very glad I don't have a deep gouge on my head quite like your Achilles. That'd be a mess now.
That would be bad. Um, so yeah, what's this about the walking lunges afterwards? I like what are you stretching out?
Uh,
I never do cool downs.
it's more like a hip flexor stretch. That's because I'm feeling tight sort of in the
All right, so you're
adductors.
stretching the right, okay.
Yeah, so
It's the
I'm,
back
I'm
leg you're
going down
stretching out the
on
hip.
one knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, going down on one knee and then holding that stretch. A little bit of a twist the opposite way. So go down with the right leg, twist to the left, go down with the left leg, twist to the right. Just hold that for 5 or 6 seconds on to the next one. And I'm doing all of them as I'm walking back to my house. So I'm getting maybe 400 meters or 300 meters of stretching as I'm walking back to the house. So I'm doing the lunges, I'm doing the hamstring stretches, I'm doing some other like just as I'm moving. And they definitely are like that. Again, it's only a small thing, right? But it's making me feel good. Other thing I was gonna say, because no, we haven't talked about it really yet. It's just I've been using the currents, right?
Oh no, we can't talk about it yet.
Yeah, so we can't talk about it yet, which I'm very sorry we can't talk about it yet, but I'm looking forward to when we do start talking about that.
Move on, please.
Yeah, but
We can't be doing any influencing here.
yeah, but that's it. Everybody's intrigued now, hey. Everybody's intrigued now. What was he going to talk about? Don't know what he was going to talk about.
I'm gonna
But
have to
like,
cut that out for YouTube and Spotify.
yeah, but those few things, like just that stretch and other things like that, they're just helping me feel better, and I'm starting to like feel like, yeah, I'm ready to go again, that kind of way. And I'm excited. I'm excited to get after the next training block.
And what is the plan then for this week?
Yeah, so this week would have been I had my 12K this morning or this evening after work. That was just an easy kind of run, and it was very easy to start off with, and then I picked the pace up just at the end, just because I got a little bit bored and I just picked the pace up a bit. But no, tomorrow will be an easy run. Then Wednesday I'll be doing a workout. So I'm going to do an 8 by 1K on Wednesday. And
Flat?
then flat, yeah, flat. All my weekly runs will be flat. And then this weekend, I'm hoping I get to the mountains this weekend. But as I said, this time of year, I'm just cramming. So I'll probably be working Saturday. Hopefully Sunday, then I get to the mountains, you know.
So, like zooming out a little bit, we're thinking about racing end of January.
Mm.
So this block, what's the we're easing into another block here. Like we're doing like the easy cut few weeks before we're getting into workouts. What's the focus of those workouts? Like what are we trying to improve here for this next race? Or is it simply are you trying to just improve on the things that you would have been doing this time last year?
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's just getting 50K because again, I don't know exactly what I'm doing at the end of January because it's kind of like I'm on a need to know basis with you, and you don't think I need to know what race we're doing yet. But I know I have a feeling it's going to be around 50K, and I'm looking to do a 50K end of January, early February. So that's I was always going to be training for something like that anyway. So I obviously want that to be a fast-ish 50K. So I'm intending on getting some speed into this training block, you know, because winter miles, summer smiles, right? But so I'll be doing a lot of like I'll be doing 2 sessions a week. Whereas normally I'd only be doing 1 session a week. I'm going to be doing 2 sessions a week. I'm going to be doing a weekly session and a weekday session and then a weekend session as well. And I'm going to mix them up. So like I'll be the one during the week will be very, very similar to what someone would be doing if they were training for a half marathon or a marathon. You know, there'll be a lot of intervals in there. There'll be a lot of sort of like
K repeats
uh,
and things.
yeah, but even like other workouts like 3-2-1s, you know, where you're going flat out race pace for 3 minutes, 90 seconds recovery, 2 minutes flat out, 90 seconds recovery, and then 1 minute, and then repeat that maybe 3 to 5 times, depending on where I am in the training block. So I'll be going back to that type of a workout a few more times, like more regularly, because they're a good one to gauge off. And you'll also know where you are in your fitness because you'll be able to go, let's say I'm able to do 3 this week at like that, but then next week I could do 4. And then the following week I could do 5, but if I don't feel like doing 5, I'll do 4 again, you know. And I always think that's a good way to gauge where your sort of like lactate threshold is at as well.
Yeah. And whenever you're talking about race pace or race intensity for a pyramid workout like that 3-2-1, what I mean, there's lots of different distances of race. You're hardly doing it at 50K pace.
No, like that'll be a much quicker pace. So you're
If
looking
you're
at
doing
sort of
like
like
3-2-1, you're talking about as hard as you can go for 3 minutes, as hard as you can go for
yeah,
2 minutes. As in, like the 3-2-1
5K
should
race
be,
pace.
yeah,
Yeah,
but the 3-2-1 is the same pace, but it's easing off because the duration, and that's what makes it more sustainable. So you're getting
yeah,
like 6 minutes per rep, I suppose, or per cycle of reps for
yeah.
at that intensity.
Yeah, for me, I'd be probably aiming for 320 a kilometer, something like that. So 320 a kilometer, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, you know, and then your 90 seconds recovery. That's the ballpark, you know, you're in around that. And then depending on where you're running and the gradient, if it changes this, that, and the other, you know, you have a couple of seconds leeway, but it'll be flat enough, so I'll have a good gauge of being able to hold that pace, like, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm not sure that I would be running 320 a K. That seemed like a flex to me, Ricky, so you can shut up.
Uh, I enjoyed looking at the notes. So Aaron will send me notes, right, to go over for the show every Sunday or Monday morning and I'd have a quick look over them. And this week it was about like okay, intro and da 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 whatever. Then we go down to show notes and it's talk about your training, Ricky. And he had over my name was sort of like Ricky's running a lot of like 60 minutes or less, kind of like steady to tempo pace. And then underneath was Aaron's training, and it just said legs cooked. I
That's the
thought it was
only
class.
that's the only cue that I needed. Yeah, because that's how the legs felt. Uh, I did that workout. I guess it was last week, end of last week. So basically, that's the first intensity I'd added in since before the GPT race,
Yeah,
which was essentially 1 month ago. It was this point last month. So didn't want to do it on running, so I did it on the bike, and I did 4 by 6 minutes off three and uphill, and working on basically the idea is to work on the intensity, uh, keep it capped, but I'm trying to improve power, uphill power, thinking about steps that
yeah,
are in Australia and stuff. So that's the idea. And I kind of almost felt like quitting in the last rep. Like I was struggling to like have certain metrics that I'm watching whenever I'm doing it. So like the idea was to do it around at least at FTP,
yeah.
functional threshold power, and then the cadence goal for working on that type of muscle recruitment was 55 to 65 cadence. And I actually made a mistake. I thought it was 65 to 75. So I did the whole session trying to 65 to 75. And in by the time I got to the last rep, I was like 60 to 65. So the
Mm.
last rep was probably the only one that recruited the proper muscles that I was trying to work on. But I just felt like for 6 minutes I was failing, which wasn't a great way to do it. But you know how we always talk about there's so much value to be had in like steady running, because that's essentially what we race at,
Yeah,
regardless of the distance in ultra. Like you're just trying to put in a steady effort and be able to do that through like fuel in your body, and you get the variation of the ups and the downs and the flats and stuff. Like after that workout. So the day before the workout, I did this route here, and I think I was probably running at like I don't know, like probably let's just say it was like 520 or 530 per K, just like a fairly pretty easy effort. And there's lots of hills here, so everything's always hilly, so you're kind of having to run everything steady, but you know that the effort fluctuates. The day after the bike, I did the same run. And mate, I struggled to even run at 6 minute Ks. And I actually stopped. I actually pulled the plug on the run. I was like, nah, I've done enough. And I ended up getting a line bike home instead of finishing the loop. And whenever I stopped and got my phone out to unlock the line, I thought, I'll make a wee note here for the show, because I was forced to run slow because that's all that I had.
yeah,
Like I wasn't going out and go, oh, I'm going out for an easy run. Don't run quicker than 6 minute Ks. Don't run, just like always hold back, always hold back. That's just all that I
yeah,
had. And I just
yeah,
felt like that workout was perfect. That made
yeah,
me run slow because I had nothing else. And then the very next day I thought, I'm going to do the exact same route, right? And the next day, I ran it and I finished the loop, and I was back down. I think the average was actually 530 that day.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I just love whenever you can see those cues from the run. Like one day it's this, you do a workout, you're cooked, and then the day after the cooked run, you're back. So you're like visualizing and experiencing the recovery.
yeah. And that is when you hear people talk about your easy days easy and your hard days hard. That's what that is about. That is like a lot of people get mixed up, and they might say, "Oh, do you not think that too much of that steady running is in the gray zone, blah de blah, all this stuff, right?" And then you have your easy days, and you should run slow all the time, and then you shouldn't do that many hard sessions. No, but when you do a hard session, it should be so hard that your next day can only be an easy day, because that's when you know you did a good session. That's when you know that that session was exactly what it was supposed to be. It was as hard as it was supposed to be. And then next day, you have no choice but to do a recovery run. And that's it. And then muscle fibers and fast twitch, slow twitch, and all this crack, that's how that develops. Like, that's how you get the stimulus for your body to adapt. Like,
I wasn't going out to have a recovery run. I was just
yeah,
going out to run, and I just ended up, was cooked because of the day before. But it's funny, like one of the questions after last show, I think, well, I'm not sure if it was on YouTube or Spotify, was what was it? I made a note of it here. Hold on. Aren't you training too much in the gray zone? Right?
mm,
And or maybe it was a comment on Instagram. I can't remember, but the whole point of training is the more intensity you can handle, the better you're going to be.
yeah,
Like the focus of running to improve is not how much volume can I do in a week. It's how much intensity can you get into your training without getting injured and sustain consistent training.
yeah.
So like definitely not like the very fact that I'm running this pace, do a workout, and then running this pace is just like a perfect barometer of training, really.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think, I personally think, right. This is the way I like to train, but I personally think that most of the elites train this way. That they do their hard sessions, then they do a shit ton of steady running, and then they do some recovery runs. That's how they train. Like because at the end of the day, we're running ultras, right? We're not running marathons, so I don't need to be able to run 100 kilometers at 3:40 a kilometer. I don't need to run at that pace. I can't do that. But you need a body that can hold a certain pace for an extended period of time. And that's what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to achieve that by doing our sessions to get minutely quicker and to be able to hold that steady pace for an extended period of time. That's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, and like if you look at the last couple of races that I've done, and I've shared like I don't have the heart rate data public, so I've shared like the chorus data with you. The very fact that the steady running has meant that I'm able to run like 5 hours, 6 hours of a race and have 4 hours in essentially what is like the marathon paced zone,
Yeah,
up in like zone three and able to fluctuate right through that range. And you're just as long as you're fueling that intensity and you're still able to do it, then I think that just means that the training is good.
yeah, yeah,
Because if you're going to then run like the 100K, the 100 mile, or whatever longer distance it is, you're just holding back on how much of the intensity you do. But you still have to run steady miles. Like you have to still put effort in. It's not like back in
yeah,
the day, whenever I started running ultras, I can remember all the old guys, all the old Irish old guard would have said, you don't run any hills. You don't run, you just hike the hills and you run the flats and you run the downs. Well, I can tell you now, if you want to do anything decent in ultra running, you definitely have to run the hills.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
because then you pass everyone that doesn't run the hills, and it just
yeah.
becomes a case of who can run the most and then who can run the fastest.
Yeah.
So it
And
puts yourself into a different bracket.
yeah. And it's like that one. Like I don't know where I heard it before, but like even like for like someone who wins the race, it's the average pace wins the race. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is. If you can hold a certain pace for hours and hours and hours, that's going to accumulate over time and that's going to put you in a great position in the race. If you're steadily climbing, steadily running up hills, steadily on everything, you're just steady on everything. You're just going to be chewing up the miles. Whereas in, let's say, like you said, if that was you 3 or 4 years ago, you would have been walking that. You would have been hiking that. Now you're running that. You're
3 or 4
taking
years ago,
hours.
we're talking. No, we're going back longer than that,
Yeah,
mate. That
yeah,
that
but you
advice
know
was
what I mean.
2013.
Yeah, but there's loads of people that would have been doing it, and if you are now running where once before you were walking, like you're taking hours off your time, not minutes, hours.
Yeah, a couple of comments in the chat. Doesn't everything move up if you get faster top end? Yep, it absolutely does. The more comfortable you can feel running fast, the in your workouts, that means that the easier runs you end up running faster because you're more comfortable. You just become more economical. So yeah. And then another comment, Aaron, you were watching heart rate only recently. Are you still doing that? Yeah, I'm not watching heart rate at all on runs. I don't look at anything on runs. I'll look at it afterwards. I'm just trying to always go by feel.
Mm.
And I mean, we'll come into it in a minute because Ricky and I have been testing a new watch. But on the Chorus X2 that I had been using and had been used to using, the only thing I had on was a heart rate alert and a nutrition alert. So every 30 minutes, and it would alert me eat something or drinks, and I would normally eat and drink on the 30 minute. So I wouldn't be sipping all through the race. I would bang a
Yeah.
gel and sip or take a gulp on 30 minutes, and then heart rate, which I turn off on in races, obviously. I had a an alert for 160.
Oh, so in the race, you have it turned off, but if you
Yeah,
go over 160, it'll give you an alarm. It'll give you a beep like.
not in a race.
No, no.
No, because like you you've other factors that influence your heart rate in a
Yeah,
race. You know, you're taking more caffeine, you've got the adrenaline at the start. Also, like later in an ultra, you might struggle to get the heart rate up as well. So it's just something that you don't need to think about. On race day, you should
yeah,
just be thinking about like dialing into how you feel. And
yeah,
the only cues that are useful, I think, is, eat something, drink something. The rest of
yeah,
it you should be able to but only because you're training that way.
yeah. But that's where we go back to that training by feel as well. Like you can train with heart rate all day long. And by no means am I saying you shouldn't. I do. I don't. I'm not religiously looking at it, but I do keep an eye on it. I might throw a glance onto it. It's on my watch. It's up on my screen. I'll just throw a glance at it. Now I'm running to feel all the time because in a race, you need to know how you feel. Like you need to know, is this a pace that I can hold for X amount of time? Like you need to know that. And if you are not in tune with how you feel and all you're doing is looking at a heart rate monitor, how do you know? How do you know if you're not going too fast or if you should be pushing a little bit harder? You have to get tuned in to feel.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think maybe this is the more natural time to talk about the watch that we're testing. I had made a
Yeah.
note to talk about it after training, but essentially it's part of the training. So we have been sent the Suunto Vertical 2. We've both got you've still got the green strap on, which I kind of like. I've swapped and put in the nylon kind of Velcro strap that we have on the chorus, that type of strap. Sent to us by Suunto. So yeah, testing that watch out. I mean, I kind of love it, but it is
Hmm.
bigger and heavier than the chorus. But like some of the things I like about the screen, the battery is amazing. Like the battery is something like 68 hours on full whack. Like everything, full GPS, screen, heart rate, everything. And comparing that to my Chorus Apex 2 Pro, I think it's 32 for
Hmm.
everything on. Um, so, and the other thing that is really good is the maps. I don't know if you've used this. We're going to do a review on this watch, but we want to test it properly. So we'll probably do a review and publicly put that out maybe in the start of January. We'll wait until after Christmas. But it has maps on it, and you can download for free like the maps offline. And I use it in the city because obviously I'm in a city that I'm not totally aware of all of the streets. And if you hold in like the top button, it zooms out on the map. And if you press the button, it zooms in on the map at 50-meter um, scale. So I can like look at the map on my watch, which is the only screen because I'm not looking at heart rate or pace or anything, and I can see, oh yeah, if I take this second right down here, it gets me over to that same place. And if I go back like a month, I was having to the odd time get the phone out and look at Gaia on my phone to say, yep, if I take this straight, I can get over to there or whatever. So it's actually working out. I'm really enjoying the map thing in the city, which is sort of like a weird one. What's like your early impressions of the Vertical 2?
First impression, the screen really good, really big, really bright. It's just really easy to read. Again, yeah, exactly. Really simple to use, which I like because I'm not very tech savvy, and I like a watch that's easy to use, you know. I like a watch that syncs fast, and I like all that stuff, right? But for me, it's a heavy watch compared to other watches I've used. We'll say compared to the latest watch I'm using is the Chorus Pace and Pace Pro, and I mean it's a super light watch. Different, I know they're totally different watches, so I'd need to be comparing it to something like the Apex or even the new Apex 4.
Well, I
But
think the
so
Vertical
far,
2 would compare more to like the Course Vertex, which is actually
yeah,
due for a refresh, so it's not a fair comparison. But I did weigh the watches, and it's about at least a third heavier than the Apex 2 Pro, wasn't it? It was
yeah,
about
yeah.
70 grams compared to near 50, I think. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was 80 to 50. I think that's what it was. It was like
Right.
80 to 50. So it is heavy, like, but at the same time, it's a really nice watch. Feels really nice on. And I think it looks class. It looks like a really nice watch. But I'm enjoying it. The battery life is insane. I didn't actually know how much battery life is in it till you said it there. Because I've just been using it and then just checking every now and again, going, I must check my battery life. But sure, I've used the watch for nearly 2 weeks now, you know? And there's still like 67% battery in it or something. It's fantastic battery life, you know. But no, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a cool watch. I took the green strap off and put the Velcro strap on it, but I just thought it was too heavy for the Velcro strap that I had. So I put it just felt like it was then way too top heavy with the Velcro strap. So I put the green strap, the silicone strap back on. Yeah, I'm loving it at the minute, yeah.
Yeah, and the silicone strap actually is better than the previous version straps, and it's nicer than the Chorus silicone strap, and has like the little pin that clips in the rather than a strap to slide it through, which is good. We're not endorsing this watch, we're simply testing it, and we will compare it to the Apex 4.
Mm,
So we're going to do a comparison of the Suunto Vertical 2 and Apex 4 next month, but we will do a Vertical 2 review standalone as well because it warrants that. Question in the chat there from Paul about is it more intuitive to use for navigation? Uh, Certainly over the Apex 2 Pro, yes, but also not really a fair comparison because personally I feel like watch tech is like it's in tech in general, whether you're talking about laptop, phone, watch, drone, camera, whoever has the latest release has the newest tech. So it's best. Simple as that. Like
mm.
it's got the fastest chips, it's got the most efficient battery, it's got the most capacity of memory. So really we will have to compare it to the latest chorus to make it a fair comparison. But the Vertical 2, the navigation does seem very good. I have some days planned where I'm going to go into the mountains on a route that I haven't done and follow the GPS, the GPX file, and see how it does. So that's might happen as soon as next week. Um, and anything else on the watch? I've actually one last thing. I've paired mine up with my Chorus arm heart rate monitor and works perfect. And actually, the first couple of runs, I wore both watches, my Chorus and Suunto. I mean, I felt like a bit of a dick, like all the weight on my wrists. But the heart monitor paired to both watches, so I had the alarm going off on the Chorus for the nutrition. I haven't figured out how to set the heart rate alarm on the Suunto. It looks to me like you have a range that you set on the Suunto for an alarm rather than saying, I want an alert if it hits 160. It's more like it'll alert me if it goes outside of zone two, as an example,
Okay.
which isn't as good. It's not as good personally, but I'm also still figuring stuff out.
It's same. Like, I I haven't really dug into the bones of it at all yet because I'm only running on the flat at the minute, and all I need is my screen set up. And to be honest, I'm just setting it up the same way I set up all my watches, same way I set up the course. I have the same screens. I have my average pace, my time, my distance, and my heart rate. And that's how I set up all my watches anyway. Look, I'm just happy to have uh, a Suunto again because I was Suunto and then I left Suunto because and went to Coros because the updates on the Suunto were really, really slow. If I did a run on a Sunday, it probably loaded up on Strava on a fucking Tuesday. It was shocking. It was really bad. Went over to Coros. Coros was very, very good, very, very fast. Everything was really good. Lightweight watches. I got to like Coros, got to really enjoy the Coros, and now it's cool to have it kind of come full circle again. A new Suunto that updates really quick, that syncs to Strava really quick, that looks really good. Now, in fairness, Suunto always made good looking watches. I always liked the look of the Suunto watches. But it's going to be a great, I think, comparison review with the Apex 4 and this watch. I think they're going to be very similar. And then uh, it'll be interesting to see like which one I think is the best, for
Yeah.
me.
What, let me know, what's your watch lineage? What's your previous two watches, or what watches have you used over the years?
Yeah, so like a million years ago, I had like a Garmin Forerunner something that like only gave you your your speed. It didn't give you your pace. It gave you your speed. It told you were running at like 13, 14, whatever,
Oh
miles an
no.
hour or kilometers an hour or something. And then it was time. So it wasn't much ahead of like a Casio, I'd imagine, at the time. But then I never wanted to, like when everyone else was buying the garments, I wanted something different. So that's how I got Suunto. Like, so I think my first proper expensive, let's say, GPS watch was a Suunto Spartan. It was a blue one, really nice looking watch. But problem was, I was very new to the sport, and then I had found Ultra running, and the battery life was so poor in it. It was like it was, it was a 10-hour battery life, but really it was only like about 8 hours if you had everything turned on. So I was like running around trying to do races before my battery died. That's how I was trying to pace the races. I was like, I need to finish this in this time, otherwise my battery will die. So it was Suunto Spartan, and then I went for the Barrow 9, and then I went from the Barrow 9 to the Chorus Apex, and then I was Chorus because like Chorus were sending me stuff all the time. I did Chorus Apex, and then I did Pace 3, Pace Pro. I had the Vertex. Like since I was with Chorus, I got to try all of the Chorus range.
Okay,
And
so
I will say,
that's
yeah, yeah.
that's interesting. So you had the Suunto 9 Barrow as well. That was actually my watch before I moved to Chorus. If I
Mm,
like I haven't moved ecosystem as much. So if I go back like maybe 13, 14 years, I had the 310 XT Garmin, which was the
mm.
orange and grey brick. It looked like a calculator on your wrist, right? And the battery lasted 5 hours. So, like you were saying, you could only run things that were under 5 hours. And whenever I ran CCC with that, I turned the GPS off and used it as a stopwatch.
Yeah.
And then I went from that watch to I went to a Garmin Phoenix 3 HR, which was the first time you were getting a heart rate monitor in the wrist.
And yeah.
Absolute rubbish. What a crap watch that was. And then that's whenever I jumped to Suunto 9. So I that was a sizable jump. And I actually think one of the main things with move and watch isn't getting used to the interface on your wrist. It's the ecosystem that you're buying into. And I can remember going to Suunto going, well, this is way better than the Garmin app and interface and syncing. And then moving from Suunto to Chorus, it was all easier.
Yeah.
But the problem in, and I notice a lot more people, there's been some churn in the chat, so people are have come in. So just need to say, we're testing the Suunto Vertical too. This is not an endorsement or a review. We will get to that in due course. But you can let us know in the comments or the chat what you want to know about the watch, and we'll think about that and factor it into the future review. But what I was saying is the ecosystem. Like we are now testing the vertical too, and I'm thinking my end of year core stats are gonna be screwed because I'm gonna miss 6 weeks of the end of the year from being in chorus, and I kind of just have had to resign myself to go, well, you're just gonna have to use the Strava stuff, which I kind of don't want to, but at least it's a unifying platform. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. See, I'm not like that at all. I'm only like I didn't even think about that. I was like, yeah, got this watch straight away, bang, synced her up, start running. It was like it's just adding to my Strava. Suit, it's just a different watch, so it's only Strava I'm really looking at. So I don't delve too deep into the actual app of the watch, if you know what I mean. I have a little look at it, but I don't delve too deep into it because I'm not really a tech geek when it comes down to it. You know what I mean?
Not
I'll
really.
geek out.
Not at
I'll
all.
geek out. Yeah, I'll have a look at my splits and all that on Strava, but I wouldn't go into the app and look at that. You know what I mean? I'd only be using Strava, like, so it doesn't bother me. Like I can swap out watches, but what I do get used to is the ease of use or just like it's just like having your iPhone, right? It's like I'm not Android because I use an iPhone and I like how it works. And when I buy a new phone, it has to be an iPhone because I couldn't be arsed dealing with a new interface or a new way of trying to
Ecosystem.
relearn. Yeah, a new ecosystem. So, but I would say the going to Chorus, I thought, yeah, that's brilliant. Chorus is brilliant. It's so easy to use. It's really, really good, and it's so simple, and it syncs really fast and does everything you want it to do. And then I was a bit worried about that when I got the Suunto because I was thinking, oh man, here we go again. I have to relearn this crap again. But no, it was very, very straightforward as well, and it's very, very simple. It's very similar, kind of. The interface on the watch is very similar to what's on the Chorus for user friendliness, I'll say.
Yeah, well, there's been big changes at Suunto because back whenever we were using the Barrow 9, which was like a really good, popular watch, everything was developed and managed and owned in Finland, and then maybe manufacturing was in Asia, which is cool. But now Suunto is Chinese owned, and that's why the rate of development has increased because they just got a big cash injection from being purchased. And obviously now Suunto are the watch sponsor of UTMB as well. Actually, the World UTMB World Series, like not just the
Mm.
finale, which is pretty cool. Um, so yeah, look, a couple of questions have come through there, and as I said, we're not endorsing the Suunto. We're testing it. We're seeing what we like, what we don't like. We will let you know. You can drop into the comments wherever you're listening to this podcast and let us know what you want to know about it. But we will do a full review in after Christmas. And also, we're going to be testing the Apex 4 from Chorus, and we'll do a comparison of the two. So I think that'll be a fair comparison.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah.
Question that come through there, which I guess is jumping back into the training part, is in your opinion, is weight training more important or same as constant running? I mean, I'll say what I think and then hand it over to you, Ricky, but the most important thing that you can do to become a better runner is run consistently. So yeah, weight training is like a little cherry on top, And maybe it's more important if you have ongoing issues and niggles and injuries. But the best thing you can do for running is to run.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say the same. It's like, the best way to get better at running is run more and just keep running.
Who would have guessed
But
that, eh?
yeah, and that's my thing. But I suppose, look, uh, what you said about like if you're prone to injuries, but even if you're not prone to injuries, look, I think not so much weight training, but maintenance, right? If you're staying on top of like the little things, and like they're the things that most of us, my hand is held as high as possible because I'm very good at running and I'm very good at training, but I'm not so good at like strength training, mobility work. And mobility work may be more important than strength training, right? Because strength training, I'm doing it every day. I'm swinging out of roofs, I'm lifting heavy shit. So I think I have the weight training down. But my mobility, and especially the older I get, I have to realize that I'm not as young as I once was. I'm not as limber as I once was. And I seen actually a great one that Fiona Pascal had up in her latest post. She was doing some drills. And like I do like doing drills. If I'm doing a faster workout, I'll always do some drills. And like there's never a bad time to do drills. You know what I mean? Drills are always worth doing. They only take a couple of minutes pre-workout. It's the same with the maintenance after the runs. It only takes a few minutes, and they're two very important things that you should be doing. Doing your drills and then doing your maintenance work, like your stretching, your mobility work, like.
Yeah, I have to definitely back you up there on the mobility thing. I have to do mobility every day. Like I stick the mat down behind me here, just out of sight. There's the ball. I start off
Yeah.
every like the first thing I do in the morning is make coffee, and then I come in here, I throw down the yoga mat, and I drink the coffee while I'm rolling the bottom of each foot under
I've
uh,
seen it.
over a
I,
ball.
I've seen it live. I've seen it live more than one occasion. Like I will say you're great for doing it, man. You're great for doing it.
But I don't actually think that I would be able to function properly if I didn't do the mobility. Like if I start skipping days or don't give it like that regular practice, I just start to feel worse, like
Mm,
achy and all this sort of type of stuff. So like I start off roll the feet, sit down on my hunkers, as you would call it, and
yeah,
that stretches like the feet, ankles, quads. And then I'll just do some like down dog, stretching out the back, cobra, stretching out the back. I think like the lower back would get stiff for me. And then after that, I'm doing stretches depending on what I'm feeling. So maybe if I've the day before I've been on the bike, I'll do some bridges, kind of working on the hips and areas like that. Maybe I'll get the slant board out and I'll stretch out the calves. Maybe I get the slant board out and just do some body weight squats on the
yeah,
incline. And I do that every morning. Like in a week of 7 days, I'm gonna at least be doing that 4 of the days, and some weeks it's every day.
yeah. Like even for me, like you would have seen it firsthand. I kind of just wake up and do nothing, and then it's like, yeah, I'm going running. I'll go run 20K or something. I come back and I don't do a whole pile after that either, and that's fine. I can get away with it, right? But I just feel I can't get away with it anymore. I can't. That I have to actually start doing more of that mobility work. I'm feeling like I'm getting a lot tighter in my hips and a lot tighter in my lower back, and like that's the one place I think you need to do most of your work in, and that's where you are very good for it. Like you know what I mean. You are always doing your hip work, your lower back work. You know what I mean. Your stretching, your dynamic stretching, I call it, like, because it's not just static stretching. It's moving through the movement and everything like that. So yeah, definitely look after the hips, look after the hips, look after the lower back, and it'll keep you running freer and it'll keep you running better as well.
Yeah, lean into the bits that are tight. Doesn't need to be a
Mm.
specific stretch or whatever. Moving on from that, Ricky, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about, not in depth, but like TRE, the running event, was last week. Chrissy Polence, Trail Talk contributor, was there on the ground film and media for the channel, and some like I made a couple of notes about things I thought worth mentioning that I thought were interesting. But the first thing maybe was like Nnormal have a brand new vest race pack
Mm,
coming next year. And the current one, uh, which has been through a couple of iterations, is a 5 liter. And I think 5 liters too small for the miler. Like I've always had although I like that normal vest, there was issues with it. I always had to pair it with a belt to make
mm.
sure I was getting all of the mandatory kit and easy access to nutrition and stuff. And also there's no pull quiver on it if you want to use poles, so you always have to use a belt anyway. But they're coming out with a new belt and it's 8 liter. It's coming out in August, so it's there for UTMB. Obviously, everything gets released now for UTMB or Western States because that's
Do
when
you
the
say a
most
new?
eyes
Do you say a new belt that's 8 liter, or a new bag that's 8 liter?
vest.
A vest, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was saying like I would use the 5 liter with a belt, but now they're bringing out an 8 liter, and it's out in August of next year. But what's really cool about it is they've got a clip-on expansion pack for it, which is 4 liter waterproof. So you can take your
Mm.
8 up to 12, and this is a waterproof compartment. So you could, you know, I guess it clips over the outside of the pack. So you put in maybe lighter stuff, like you could put in your rain gear, because you don't want your clothes in your pack getting covered in sweat because it ends up being wet, even if it is wet gear. So I just think that that's kind of like a really nice innovation. We haven't seen that from any other brand.
No, but that's definitely a Killian, kind of like big adventure day kind of move, I think, whereas and if you are doing stuff like that, if you've got a merino wool top, if you've got a second layer, like a thermal layer, you've got gloves, a hat, you don't want that shit getting wet. Like if it's waterproof gear, it doesn't matter, right? But I mean, if it's dry clothes that you need to get into, if you were out on a big adventure and you got caught in a downpour, that waterproof pack is going to be epic for something like that. And same for a lot of people in UTMB, they'd be changing their clothes regularly, like, so I think that's a great idea. And it's cool that you can put it on and take it off.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Just little easy push button clips. And also, Hallelujah, another brand has brought out a light colored vest. So it's sort of like an off-white color. Think about the Tantrums pack, similar sort of
Mm,
color to that. Material looks like it's similar to the old Solomon S Lab, which Killian also had a hand in designing, which was a great fabric as well. So kind of really interested to see that new normal pack coming next year. I have pictures of it on Instagram. I dropped pictures yesterday, so go over to the profile page or the main page, whatever you call it, and you'll see TRE Normal. Swipe through those pictures and you'll see the pack, you'll see the expansion pack, and you'll see the belt that they have coming as well. Um, I don't have too many details on the belt, but we are filming a TRE specific show, I think today or tomorrow. So we'll be getting into that a little bit more. Ricky, what have Hoka got coming next year?
yeah, like again, I'm not on the, let's say, on the inside, and I don't hear all the things. So like, I don't know why they weren't at TRE. I don't know if they weren't at it, but I didn't see anything
Hoka were
from
at
Hoka at
TRE.
TRE.
They didn't have a mad amount of stuff to show, and the shoes which you might mention here are under embargo, so there's no images available. But I guess we
Yeah.
can say what's coming.
Yeah, like I don't think there's any issue with what's coming. I know that there's the Speedgoat 7 coming, and then I know that there's a Tecton X4 coming as well. When they're coming, I have no idea. As in, I know nothing about them. And I
I'll
actually
give you
know
two
for,
guesses.
yeah,
States
there'll
and
be,
UTMB.
st yeah, it'll probably be States for the Speedgoat and then probably UTMB for the Tecton X4. Yeah. Look, I've seen a picture of the Tecton X4, and like I'm very excited for that shoe. Like I'm a big fan of the Tecton X3. It's been my favorite shoe of all time since I've been wearing Hokas. It's a shoe that works really well for me. So the Tecton X4. looks amazing, looks really nice, and I'm excited for that. Speedgoat 7, I just heard that it's going to be a little bit more like the old Speedgoats, like the Speedgoat 5, you know what I mean? 4 and 5, where it was softer underfoot, because I think there was a lot of people saying the 6 was a little bit more sort of rigid and less comfortable on the long hauls. So I think that's a change, and then the upper is a change as well. But that's as much as I know.
Yeah, the tech. I think if you think about the Tecton X4, the X3 was released at UTMB 2024, 2 year cycle. So I think UTMB is a good shout for that.
Mm.
BP Runco in the chat, and all three looks great as well. I think you maybe seen that, have you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, it's a little bit more aggressive too. Yeah, yeah. If you liked the Zanal 2, you loved the Zanal 3, that's for sure. Yeah.
And then another shoe that we saw, which I guess we're going to call Achilles Gate at this point, uh, the Norda 055 is coming out, I think, February. No, when is it coming out? Yeah, June. So it's out for states. And same foam as the 005, higher stack by 4 mil. So it's 38, 31. And I've heard that the reason behind the higher stack is for more protection underfoot. So you know how sometimes the 005 is there's a bit too much ground feel for quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's their reasoning. They're going a little bit more foam instead of maybe going rock plate or carbon plate or some sort of plated protection. And 5 mil lugs, but it's using Mega Grip Elite, right? Which is on the 005, which is absolutely like it's the best rubber ever. And the 005 is the
Mm.
only shoe that has it. But they're using the 001, 002 tread pattern, which is actually a very good tread pattern. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it outperformed for its lug depth, is probably what I would call it. Uh, Padded heel, oh my God.
Yeah. They're listening. They're listening.
The,
Yeah.
somebody's taking the earplugs out. And sock booty. What did you think of the
Mm.
sock booty?
Like I will say, it's a fantastic looking shoe. Like it's a beautiful looking shoe. It really is. Like yeah, like I was very excited looking at that shoe. Like it's very nice. I like that they have the same foam, just more of it. You know, that's only going to be a good thing. Um, the extra lug depth as well. You know me, I like a big lug, so the extra lug. I know it's only an extra mil, I think. You know what I mean, but an extra mil is a lot in lug depth. So yeah, it's super cool looking. And then again, like the Tecton X3, I'm a big fan of the booty, like, you know what I mean? So I like that sock, I like that gaiter, like that, like on the Zenal. So a lot of brands are doing it now. Brooks are doing it. Nord is after doing it now. Looks amazing. Really good looking shoe.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the sock booty type thing. Tyler in the chat saying Cascadia Elite also has the Vibram Mega Grip
Mm.
Elite. So I didn't actually know that because apart from that Cascadia Elite, I wouldn't go near a brick shoe. I mean,
No, but that is a nice one, man. That
it is.
Cascadia Elite is a lovely looking shoe. Like it's really nice. Yeah, yeah. Like again, I always kind of look back. Look at I'm biased, right? I'm Hoka straight off the bat. So like I'm kind of going, you just robbed Detect an X3. Like it kind of looks very similar to that. I know there's probably loads of different things in it that aren't in the Tech an X3, but I am a fan of the Brooks Cascadia Elite, and I think it looks fantastic. Like yeah.
Yeah, it's a good looking shoe. But if you think about Brooks as a range, the name Brooks, apart from Scott Jurek, it gives
Yeah.
me dad core vibes, like uncool shoes. Whenever I see a roadrunner wearing Brooks, they're normally wearing, I know, Under Armour shorts and a flipping, whatever. Like they're just
Yeah.
like they've no clue kind of thing.
Yeah, they're usually of a certain age. No offense, like they just are. They're usually of an older age. Like I'm talking old. Like it's just not a cool brand. Like maybe they're moving. They're trying to move, and I know they are. They've got a lot of like big influencers now, and they're pulling out of like they have like sort of Hoka have something like the racer group, like the racer team, where I would have like started off in the racer team. We're like brand ambassadors, right? And we put on events and do stuff like that. Brooks have something similar in Ireland and the UK, and I heard that they're pulling out. So they're like taking all funding away from that and throwing more of their funding into influencers, because they are trying to get, let's say, young vibes.
Right, yeah, and they have done a lot of work recently in the lifestyle space where they're, a bit more style focused, but you know, as much as Cole Townsend of Running Supply would be a Brooks advocate, I mean, I'm not there.
Yeah,
I'm just not
yeah,
there.
yeah. Yeah, you can't just buy cool, like you can't just do that. You can't just throw money at it and make it cool. Like that's not how it works.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Right, moving on. Last thing I wanted to touch on in this show is Hard Rock Lottery was at the
Mm.
weekend, and of course we didn't get in. Of course nobody got in.
No,
But what about
no.
Dale's picks? And so, like on the men's side, Ludo, the returning champ, plus the other notable people. I know there's other people in Dale's picks, but let's just talk about the actual front. Caleb and Tom Evans. Caleb
Mm.
Olson, States winner, GPT 100 winner, and Tom Evans, the most recent UTMB champion. So, what do you
Yeah.
think of those three guys at Hard Rock next year?
Ah, look, class to see Ludo back there again. You know what I mean? That's amazing. And Ludo's Ludo, right? So don't need to talk a massive amount about Ludo, but I think seeing Tom and Caleb there is going to be very interesting. That's a race, right? That's a race straight off the bat. That's going to get people talking. We've got Western States champ, we've got UTMB champ going head to head, and don't forget that there's other people in the race as well. Don't just, but the focus is going to be thrown on those two guys, like that, without a
Well,
doubt. Like.
I mean, but Ludo is the course record holder.
Yeah,
So if they
yeah,
want to beat Ludo and Ludo performs as he can perform, then they need to run course record time.
yeah, yeah,
Like, let's not just go, oh, Ludo won it and blah, blah, blah. No, he won it and set a course record. He'd be going back next year to run it in the other direction and go again.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's a race there. Ludo, what I love about Ludo is he smashes the downs. And
yeah,
so many people are trying to like preserve themselves and, you know, be strong in the climbs and all of this. Ludo smashes the downs, and if you want to race Ludo, let's go.
yeah. It's gonna be class. It's gonna be class.
What do you think of Tom versus Caleb, though?
Yeah, I just think uh, if it's Western States, I think it's a real race. I think that'll be a race, right? I think you'd have two boys that are seriously quick on the flat, two very, very, very fast guys. But in the mountains, I just don't know how good Caleb is actually in the mountains. You know what I mean? I know he did that one there in Australia and he won that race, but I mean, it wasn't a really competitive race for him, right? Tom has won UTMB, right? The most competitive, one of the most competitive mountain race in the world. I just think that if Tom has a day, I don't. This is me. This is my opinion because I
Yeah,
don't know
that's all
how
we
good.
want.
Yeah, I just don't know how good or how proven Caleb Olsen is as a true mountain runner. You know what I mean? In the big, big mountains, like. So that's where it'll be very cool to see how he does do in that race.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And opinions are free, and we're not here to challenge anyone's. We're just sharing our own. So,
Mm.
give us your opinion in the chat in the description. Let us know if you think Caleb or Tom prevails, or will Ludo just slap them about and, and course record in the opposite direction. Uh, Caleb says he is the mountain guy, but he needs to prove himself.
Mm.
And like he wanted to do GPT 100 because it's a technical course. He wasn't challenged. He did run a good time, but the record was also soft because, no offense, it was an Australian time. It wasn't set by, a UTMB winner or a UTMB top 10 or even a UTMB finisher in that sense. So yeah, we don't really know what the potential is. We didn't know what the potential was at GPT, and Caleb did say, well, I wasn't pushed, and I kind of, had mental struggles of my own as well, because I was just there running it myself. Tom is a UTMB winner.
Mm.
Tom is has an amazing group of like coaches and of all types, from mental to physical to marketing. Like Tom ticks all what I need to do to be amazing. Great. I've got the money, I've got the sponsors, let's do it.
Yeah.
Caleb won states off the back of the Jack Kunzel training as a coach, and then he has gone his own way. And then in his next race, which was the World Champs, didn't he fell and like had a really bad knee injury?
Yeah. Probably
So,
20K in, like, yeah.
so I guess there's maybe Tom is controlling more of the variables that play a part in success, and Caleb maybe isn't. But then
Yeah.
Caleb is based in America. They can maybe relocate and train at altitude on the course easier than what Tom could. Both of them new parents. So I don't know if Tom's going to bring the whole family across. I can't imagine that would be the case. I think Tom might be more
No,
the
and
guy
like,
that he's going to sleep in an oxygen tent.
yeah, but he did it for UTMB. He did a lot of his training at home for UTMB, and that's what he was a big advocate of that sort of saying and preaching about like how you can train at home for these races. You don't need to go and live in the mountains, you know. So he was pushing that big time before UTMB. So I would imagine he'll do something similar. Now I'm sure he will go out there at some stage, but he'll do most of his training from home. Just on that, right? You know the way it's Dale's picks, right?
Yeah.
So. I would imagine Caleb Olsen was coming in hot for UTMB this year, for next year, right? And UTMB was probably his big goal for 2026. But then you just get that pick from Dale, and then it's like, well, I'm pulling your name out of the hat. Do you want to race? And then that's a race you can't turn down, you know. But is that a real spanner in the works? That's what I'd like to know for Caleb, because if he does do Hardrock, then I think UTMB, winning UTMB is surely out the door, you know?
I mean, was he ever gonna win UTMB? Maybe if you get your hard rock pick, you take it
Mm.
and you use the UTMB because the hard rock UTMB is a way more pleasant double because it's just more of the same and you're able to recover between. Whereas states, the heat, the running, the training for it is very different. You could essentially train for UTMB and then just do hard rock and then
Yeah,
recover from hard rock and then still apply that to UTMB. So I think if you get the Dale pick and you get a place, he obviously applied because that's part of it.
yeah,
He applied for hard
yeah,
rock, so he was willing to take it if he got accepted. And he may have had the nod that, state's champion.
yeah, of course,
Maybe
yeah,
I'm gonna get
yeah,
a Dale's pick. Maybe a few people could have a word. So he might just, think he can go to UTMB and get a top 10 and use it as another learning experience and still be competitive, but maybe not solely focus on that one race.
yeah, yeah.
That's my take.
Like that's, yeah, yeah, no, 100%. Look, no more than the rest of us. Like someone like Caleb is like chomping at the bit to get into Hard Rock. It's probably a dream race. So the minute that comes, if an opportunity comes, you take that. You have to take that. And like you said, he had to apply in the first place anyway. So he knew that's what he wanted to do anyway. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, take
I'd
it.
love to see him put it together though, and on the UTMB side, I'd love to see him have a clean race to see what his potential is there. I think yeah, I just think that would be good all round. Moving on as we start to wind the show down, we still like what about the women's picks? So let's just focus on the important names here. Katie, returning
Yeah.
champion, Courtney, Tara Dara, and Gareth Arnold. And a lot of people may not have heard of Gareth Arnold, but she won TDS this year.
Mm.
So she's like in the conversation. We might not think, oh well, she's not Courtney caliber, but to win TDS and that type of course deserves respect. What do you think of those top four women?
Oh, again, it's a race. A lot of the time, what happens in Hard Rock is certain people get in and then a lot of people don't get in and it's not really that competitive. It's a race. It's like usually there's three people in the race, so you're going to come in the top three regardless. That's usually the way it is. So it is
Like
so
the
good to
guys?
see that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's so good to see Katie against Courtney. Like we've been crying, looking for this for so long, for the two of them to go at it again. You know what I mean? So like that's super exciting. Everybody's going to be glued to that. You know, can Katie show that she's, you know what I mean, the queen, the new queen, let's say, right? Or can Courtney go and show that, she's still the top dog, like, so that's very, very interesting. But what's also exciting is what Courtney's doing right now at the minute, running marathons, because she's running marathons, she's working on her speed over the winter because she knows Katie's quicker than her. That's exactly what she's doing, and she's training to beat Katie at everything, not just this race. That's what she's trying to do. She's looking at it from, as in the longevity of the sport. If I want to still be number one, I need to get quicker. So that's super cool to see.
Yeah, 2:38 at CIM last weekend. So what was that like? It was it wasn't 15 minutes, but it was in the ballpark of 15-minute improvement over her first marathon, which was only weeks prior to that as well. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool that she's done that.
And still in her basketball shorts. Like, come on as well. Like, you know what I mean? I know you can say, oh, yeah, she's wearing this shoe and that shoe. Yeah, but she's still running in ridiculous shorts for running that sort of speed. Like, so hats off to her.
Any sane person would be chafed to bits running a road marathon with a repetition in board shorts. There has to be
Yeah,
some anti-chafe going on there, some liners. There's got to be some sort of secret sauce.
definitely, definitely. But
So,
then Tara as well, man. You know what I mean? So Tara going there as well. I think Tara's very, very strong. And like Hard Rock's going to suit her down to the ground as well. Like, she'd love a course like that. So it's definitely going to be a race between them four.
well, like if you think about the crux of various races, in UTMB, it's almost like, in terms of the men anyway, can you sustain the right intensity through the night, through
Yeah.
that first night, and still have it like you haven't burned too many matches, and then you're still able to make the move when you need to make the move, or respond to the move, and stay in the race. At Hard Rock, I think because of the altitude, it's you're like flipping a coin because at altitude, if you burn too many matches, if you burn too hot, it takes a lot longer to recover. And that's why we see people at the front of the field, like bent over their poles, vomiting at the side of the trail. Because when you exert yourself at altitude, there's a way bigger reset required. And that's why you
Yeah,
see
there's
people sleeping at aid stations for hours and stuff. So I think it's interesting.
Yeah, and like I seen something lately as well is your fueling and your hydration is so important in a race like Hard Rock as well. It's not just like, oh, I'll wing it this way and I'll get away with it this way. You could be in top you could be on top of your fueling and your alarm could be going off every 30 minutes and you could be hammering your nutrition and you could be bang on, but then you could be messing up your hydration and not drinking enough water, and at that kind of altitude, you can get really, really sick if you're not staying on top of your hydration.
Yeah. So what do you think about Tara? Like, Tara, I think, is unproven at this race distance. Yes, she's done longer, super long. Yes, she's also shown the 50-mile 100K that she can absolutely hammer it and do really well also. But I think at the 100-mile ultra trail, at these like the Hard Rock, the UTMB, there's still like this question mark, like can she bring it all together?
Yeah, and it's it's going to be a test as well to see which which person shows up. Do you know what I mean? As in which person of her shows up. Like because she's got to race two of the best. She's got to race Katie and she's got to race Courtney.
The
So
best.
yeah, the best. So like to have a good race, she's got to go up against them. So straight away, is that like, all right, do I let them go or do I go with them? And then that just makes it very, very interesting because like if she gets caught up running their race, she could be in massive, massive trouble, you know?
Yeah.
But then if she runs her own race and she's too far behind, she's not going to catch them either, like, because they're not going to come back to her just like everyone else comes back to her. This is Courtney and Katie. They don't come back.
Yeah, you can only run your own race. As soon as you run
Mm,
someone else's race, you're burning matches. You burn the
yeah,
matches at altitude, probably not going to come back from it. You're definitely not
yeah,
going to come back from it against two of the best, because what's the chances that they also burn those matches as well?
yeah. And they have so much experience, I think, you know what I mean? Like, they're, they're two class acts. They know exactly how to run that race as well. So I don't think they'll mess up as such, you know?
Couple of comments in the chat. Tyler saying Courtney, Katie, Careth, 1, 2, 3. Yep, I'm not. I couldn't disagree with that, but I'm not ready to make a pick. And then Voodoo, he's calling out the Courtney DNF. I mean, that's a baseless claim. Like what?
Mm, yeah,
He's
yeah.
saying Katie, Careth, Tara. I mean, I can't. I mean, it's too far out from the race to make any
Yeah,
any
a
calls on
Courtney
that.
DNF, a Courtney DNF is not happening. If she didn't DNF at UTMB this year, and she had an awful hard race, like she had a tough, tough day, and she still finished that race, you know. So it ain't going to be a DNF no matter what happens.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, Ricky, let us wrap the show up. We'll let you get to bed. I don't think we had any community members racing the past week, did we?
Don't think so.
But notable shout out to
Yeah.
Alan Stratton, uh, Nimra Ultra Runner of the Year, which, tip my hat to that. Well done to Alan. Fantasy's over. We mentioned
Mm,
it last week. We need to move on. I'm saying nothing more about that. In terms of pods, some great feedback on the Ethan Peters podcast that dropped last week. Such a nice guy. If you haven't listened to it or watched it or whatever, you know where to get it. Good conversation. Great guy. Like, just like the most fun guy to chat with. It was an hour and 40, just over an hour and 40 long. And Trail Talk podcasts are only that long if the guest can talk and tell a story. So
yeah.
Ethan could
And he
could
has a
tell a story.
story. He has a story though. You know what I mean? His story is pretty cool. Like it's very
Yeah.
cool.
And then this week, a bit of a change up. Instead of me with a guest, Ricky recruited you for another show. So you and I sat down last week with Harry Jones after he won the Translantau by UTMB race in Hong Kong. We had a great chat with Harry. That's going to come out on Thursday in Europe, Friday in Australia. So check that out as well. And if you have any questions about the Suunto, about, I don't know, about Swiss Canyon Trails, whatever you want to talk to us about, don't DM us. Do it in the WhatsApp community because there's hundreds of people that will answer the question for us. And you'll get way more interesting answers and you'll get our opinions too. Links in the bio. That's how you join there. Anything else from you, Ricky?
No, that's it, man. All covered.
All right. Well then, the last thing to say is peace.
Peace.